John Sutherland, only one question for today, as it's a hot topic right now. Any overall thoughts on the whole Chris Stuckmann, Madam Web video and backlash? Yeah, so I put out a pair of tweets yesterday about this, kind of giving my thoughts on it. And there were a couple people that fired back on a few things. So I had a couple of expanded thoughts, but really put out a couple tweets yesterday about it. So that's one of the things I try to do on Twitter is share additional thoughts on things. So essentially, my immediate thought on the Chris Stuckmann situation is that it's old news that has been blown way out of proportion because it's gone to people outside of his circle, outside of our corner of the internet. So what do I mean by all of that? Chris Stuckmann openly stated in 2021, over 2 years ago, that because he is looking to be a filmmaker, he's not looking to do negative reviews anymore. He wants to be a film appreciation channel. That what he did before is not what he's going to do. Openly stated this, and he gave the reason over 2 years ago. Now, you can say you disagree with that. You can say, I don't find his channel useful. What's the point of a channel analyzing movies that's not willing to say negative things? I don't like that. I don't find that useful. So you stop watching. Fair enough. I'm not going to in any way try and convince you otherwise because I get that. That's a fair thought. However, what has taken place here is that someone put out a tweet that clipped out a section of his Madam Web video that was basically him saying, this isn't a review of Madam Web. I don't want to bash movies anymore. I know how hard it is to make a movie, but I don't know how hard it is to make an IP film. And just clips that out and then says, this guy's so annoying. This clip went on to get, as of yesterday, 13 million views on Twitter. Chris Stuckmann has over 2 million subscribers, which in the movie space is insane. That puts him at the top of his game. But even like this video has 6 times as many views as he has subscribers. He's a top guy in our corner of the internet and only has 2 million. 13 million people viewed this clip. That's just the main clip, and then everyone did their think pieces on Twitter and everything like that. So then it's way out there to a lot of people outside of our corner of the internet. In our corner of the internet, he openly stated, I'm a filmmaker now. I want to do film appreciation. I'm not a film critic the way that I was before. Said that. The way this clip that has gone out to 13 million people is being framed as top YouTube movie critic won't criticize movies. That is misframing what actually is taking place because he is not identifying as a film critic the way that I would identify as a film critic. He's not identifying as a film critic the way that he used to identify as a film critic. He identifies as a filmmaker who wants to do film appreciation. And I don't know how much he's directly stated this. We all know what's going on. He's a filmmaker and he doesn't want to burn bridges. He transitioned out of, like, he built his fame. He makes his living, or made his living, reviewing movies, but he loves movies and wants to make movies. And so there's a conflict of interest. There's an awkwardness in trying to make movies while doing honest criticism of films. Therefore, he's like, I won't do honest criticism. Not that he's being dishonest, but I'm just doing film appreciation. And he openly stated that. So you get this clip and people are like, well, he said, I'm not about bashing movies. He's saying all movie critics are just bashing movies. Like, he was making a statement about himself. He wasn't making a statement about film criticism. It wasn't a video like, you shouldn't review movies because movies are hard to make. Like, his arguments, like people are taking every sentence and unpacking it and I just don't think that's not the spirit under which any of this was stated. That's not the spirit under which any of this was made to you shouldn't criticize movies because they're hard to make. He's decided not to criticize films because he wants to make movies and not make the people that he wants to be his peers angry with him. Was it Robert C. Cargill used to be a film critic. And that now he's a screenwriter, wrote Doctor Strange, Black Phone, works with Scott Derrickson. He tweeted out, he said, Chris Stuckmann is one of the few film critics that has been able to make the transition over to filmmaking. It's the same one that I made when I made the transition into making movies rather than critiquing films. I decided not to criticize films the way that I did before. It's a tough transition, but like I moved into a different world, so I interacted with films and filmmakers differently. Chris Stuckmann that's what he said that he did, and just people took it out of context, and they went, the film critic won't critique films. That's ridiculous. That would be ridiculous, but that's not really what he's saying. That's not really the point that he's making. And when he said stuff like, I'm not about bashing movies, was it was it a bit of a clumsy way to say that? Yeah, a little bit. Like, that's not probably the best way to have framed it, but he wasn't stating it to comment on film criticism. He was making a statement about why he does not do negative reviews. And I saw someone say, like, well, he did a whole video about why he's not going to review Madam Web. No, he didn't. They clipped out 30 seconds of a 10, 15-minute video that is about the industry, that is about studio interference, and how on big IP movies, there's a lot of people with power that aren't the director and they aren't the writer, which is true, which is a good observation, which a bunch of people miss. That, like, that's part of why these projects are so bizarre, is because executives and producers have a bunch of power, not just the writer and director. That's what the video is about. Like, which is a valid thing to make a video about. It's also valid to just do film appreciation. To talk about movies does not require that you're a film critic that's trying to be balanced in saying the bad and the good. You don't have to do that. You just have to be honest about what you are doing. And Chris Stuckmann has been honest about it. You might not like what he's doing. You might like, well, he still calls his positive reviews movie reviews. He doesn't call them just film appreciation essay. Okay, sure. Like, there's things we can nitpick here. We can debate the merit of it. There's things to say, but saying that the direction that so much of the conversation here is bizarre. Like, there's a video on YouTube where Dean Cain, Superman of the 90s, was asked about Chris Stuckmann. And they're like, this film critic says he won't do that, da-da-da-da. And then the conversation kind of goes in a different direction. But Dean Cain was asked about Chris Stuckmann because it's like the conversation has gone so far beyond his actual corner of the internet. In our corner of the internet, in his corner of the internet, he said, I'm not a film critic, I'm a filmmaker, I'm doing film appreciation. But then it was blown way out of proportion, so that's my quick thoughts on it. My expanded thoughts, since that's a lot more than what I could have fit into 2 tweets.
Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month. For $2 per month, $20 per year, you can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.